Hey guys, what is going on? Welcome to episode 3 of the Paladin series and episode 4 of the merch guide. So if you guys don't already know this, basically what I'm doing is I'm mixing the Paladin series and the merch guide together. So basically in the first 5 to 10 minutes I want to talk about the Paladin, and for the rest of the time you guys will see the Paladin as it trains or does whatever, and we'll talk exclusively about the merch guide. So episode 3 of the merch guide, we basically talked about dictating your prices and learning prices and all that kind of stuff. And episode 4 is kind of like an extension of that in terms of investment merchanting, where you still have to figure out the prices. So I don't know how long this episode will be, so for that reason, basically the Paladin starts at level 30 as it trains, and I don't know how far the Paladin will train simply because I don't know how long this guide will be. So if the thing isn't long enough to where I can catch up to how far the Paladin has been already, because as you saw in my previous videos, the Paladin is level 155, and in this video, the Paladin's still level 30. So if this video is not long enough, I'll go ahead and I'll make a separate Paladin video just so we can catch up to what the Paladin's current progress is. But anyways, enough about that. You've probably already seen the clip that passed by. I'm not sure yet, but I'm pretty sure the clip already played. Basically, I was in the cash shop, I bought a bypass key, and Nexon was advertising these, so I went ahead and bought one. It cost 1k NX, and basically what it allowed me to do is it allowed me to equip items that were 30 levels higher than me, or just weapons. So I was able to equip any weapon that was 30 levels higher than me. So basically that meant I could equip, like, say for example, if I'm level 120, I could equip a Fafnir weapon that's for level 150 people. So just imagine how fast the training would be. Like, you're stuck in evolution lab, but you have a godly weapon, you can just one hit kill everything because you have a level 150 weapon. So yeah, you can just imagine how amazing the training is. So it was so much better than just a double EXP card. So I'm really happy about that. And as you'll see pretty soon, I'm not sure, you might see this in this video, you might not. If I get to level 65, I will be using the surfboard that I have. Here's a picture of the surfboard. Basically, yeah, this surfboard is ridiculously overpowered, and at level 65 I can use this because I had the 30 level bypass key. So yeah, I was basically killing everything with one hit. So training was ridiculously fast at that point. But enough about talking about third job, let's talk about second job. In second job I trained, there was no double EXP or anything for me, so it was probably the lowest point in my training. It was slow as hell, and I was training on monsters that were many levels higher than me. So that meant my accuracy was low, my attack speed was low, and the number of lines that I hit was pretty low. So everything was just overall slow and very low damage. So it took a very long time. And to add to that, my internet was lagging really badly at this point. So I'm not even sure why I was lagging that badly, but yeah, it was really slow. So yeah, it was probably the lowest point in my training all the way up to 155. But it was not that bad. Basically what I did was I trained on and off. I just logged in, I trained for one level, then I logged off or something like that. And if you'll see in some of the clips, I was doing the sweet honey event, and the honey event basically you just do attendance, collect 30 of the drops and turn it in 7 days in a row, and you'll get like a character slot, and you also get some storage expansion. So really nice event. I did it on the Paladin, leveled up a couple times, and yeah. And there are a few questions from the last video. One of the questions was asking me still about why I'm using a Dark Knight. And basically, to explain it again, the reason why I'm playing the Dark Knight is because I have two weapons. The first one is a level 95 surfboard, and the second one is a level 127 VIP sword. So the reason I'm playing the Dark Knight first is because I can use the surfboard to level up faster, and afterwards when I get to fourth job I can job change into a Paladin. So the Dark Knight is more or less just like a way to train faster. So that's really all it is, and yeah. So despite the slow training of the CDs and the Robos, it was like, it's about the Robos really quick. I was training in the Robos and it was lagging so badly. Like, I had to take several hits to kill the Robos already, but with the added lag, like, I couldn't even tell if the Robos died or not, so it took even longer to train, but oh well. And I guess I forgot to mention this with the training in I guess the EXP multipliers. What I was using is there was no double EXP. I didn't use a double EXP card. I didn't really have any other multipliers. But sometimes I had HS, other times I didn't. It just depended on my mood, if I wanted to turn on my second computer or not. So, yeah, sometimes the training was faster, sometimes it was pretty slow. But it started picking up pretty soon. I remember level 46, that's when I moved the Mercedes Link skill over. So, yeah, it got faster, but oh well. As for the other Link skills, I didn't move them over because I wanted to keep my Fire Poison Mage strong, so that's the reason for that. And another comment, or another couple comments that I got on my last video was, well, talking about the hair coupon and good game, good game. I bought a hair coupon from the cash shop, but then people are telling me that I could have gotten it for free in TOTS. So yeah, that was a waste of money, but oh well. But yeah, overall it was pretty good. I didn't have that much fun training at the lower levels, but eventually it started picking up to where it was leveling ridiculously fast. So I'll talk about that if we get to it in this video. If not, that's cool. But anyways, yeah, just some news. First, I'm really happy about the ink wash rings. They are back, so I'm really happy about that. I'm gonna try to get one for Sarcasm because it just looks good with the whole dark theme. I'm not sure about the chat. I'm not sure about the name tag. I want the chat ring simply because it looks so cool, but the name tag, I'm not too sure. I don't really feel like paying that much money just for a name tag. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. They seem to be inflating up to past 4 bill almost, so I should probably get it soon because it already stopped deflating. So yeah. Also, just to add, a few people asked me for a episode recap, which I can do. In the end of the episodes, I will have a recap, and they asked me if I could do a slideshow presentation or something, just so I could put the information down. I will go ahead and do that. The last, I don't know, 15 to 10 minutes of the episode, we will go ahead and have a recap so you guys can just see what's going on. So yeah, remember to go ahead and catch that because that should help you guys out. So before we begin the actual topics for today, which are investmenting and networking, I want to first go back to episode 3 and just mention a couple things. And with price checking, a lot of people, I feel like they're getting left behind in my guide because I'm already moving on to the next few episodes, but these people are still stuck in the first couple episodes. If you need to make money for whatever reason, episode 2 does highlight some ways of making money. There's no real secrets to making money. A lot of people think there's some intricate secret or something. There are no secrets. Just go ahead and go and grind for your own money. That's really the only thing to it. Just grind for your own money. And the second thing is some people telling me they're going to start merchanting. How I want to explain it is, if you want to learn prices, a lot of people, I guess they're thinking that they should stare at the item and just stare at the item and just stare at the item, and that's not how you do it. And a lot of people have so many questions, including some of my friends. I call them all questions, no action. That's what I call them. Basically, how you want to begin merchanting if you really want to learn the prices, it's reinforced memorization. You see the item, and in your head, a price should pop up. That's how it's basically like recalling for memory. So if you study psychology or whatever, that's what it is in terms of memory. But how you want to learn the prices is you want to be very fast about it. Merchanting is a fast-paced game, and I know a lot of people, they're asking questions. They want to go slowly through the market, and they're like, okay, is this item merchable? And they see an item and they ask for a price check. And it's good in that sense if you want to learn the prices, but the thing is, a lot of merchants, they get caught up in the slow game. Merchanting is a fast game. What that means is, if you miss a merch, that's fine. Move on. Don't cry over spoiled milk. The merch is gone. Move on and find a different one. Will always be merches. That's the idea here. There will always be something to buy low and sell high. Why? Because that's how this economy is built. The very essence of the economy is built in this way. So if you miss a merch, that's fine. And that's the idea I want to bring about to you guys. So how you want to learn prices is basically you want to go fast. That's what I tell my friends. Go, 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 and keep on going. That's what I tell them. Basically, start in FM22 or start in FM1, whichever you want to start at. Just start, go to the room and start. Just go. That's what I tell them. Look at the prices, scroll through the whole store, look at the prices, go. Next store, look at all the prices, go. Next store, look at all the prices, go. If you think this is merchable, that's fine. You don't have to buy it. If you're in doubt, just don't buy it. Just look at the item and go. Just keep on looking and going. You don't have to buy anything. You can do this with 0 mesos. Even if you're broke as fuck, 0 mesos, go. Just keep on doing it. Look at all the items, go. Look at all the items, go. Keep on doing that. And if you don't know the prices, that's fine. Why? Because eventually you'll see multiple items that are similar to this, and you'll figure out the price by yourself. Reinforced memorization, you see the item, you recall the price. That's how it's done. That's how you learn prices. And that's really, like, I don't want you guys to be left behind. Like, if I'm, like, in episode 8 in the future, and you guys are still stuck in episode 3 or something, I don't want that. So, look at the price and go. That's really the idea. You look at it and you go, look at it and you go, look at it and you go. It's a fast-paced game. If you miss the merch, that's fine because more will come. So that's just something that I want to say before we actually begin the merch guide. So, I mean, the merch guides already began, technically. So enough about that. Let's go ahead and talk about the merch guide. So episode 4 of the merch guide is dedicated to Alan, Silent TM, and some of you guys may recognize his name from Windia from 1 year ago. He had to take a break from MapleStory for 1 year, but he's returning pretty soon and I can't wait. I haven't seen him in a year and it's a great feeling to, just waiting for him to come back. It's amazing to see him come back. Without a doubt, the best merchant in this game. I've never met a better merchant. And merchanting is not just about earning and making money. It is that, but there's other skills which for which I see which make Alan the best merchant. He's honest, he's legitimate, and he's without a doubt one of the most charismatic people I've ever met in this game. And just watching Alan, some of the things that I've seen in him, he really set the role model for what a good merchant should be. And observing him, I really started developing my own merchanting skills. And two things that I saw in him that were different that other merchants didn't fully utilize. The first being his ability to network, and second, his honesty and legitimacy. And his ability to network, a lot of people believe the most important trait for a merchant is their ability to figure out prices, but the route to my success and the route to Alan's success is networking. Our ability to network, to build connections with people is so important, not just in MapleStory, but also in real life. In episode 1, I explained that this merch guide could be utilized in real life as well. This is one of these chapters. The second thing that I saw in Alan was his honesty, and merchanting in general always is attached with the negative stigma of dishonesty, lying, and taking advantage of people. And a lot of merchants follow that simply because they don't understand that merchants who are honest build respect with people. And let me show you a picture of something that I learned from Alan. Here's a picture of something that came straight from Alan's book, basically. As you can see in this picture, I'm doing a merch with somebody, and I am telling him that I am going to buy his item and resell it for higher. I am actually telling him that. A lot of merchants are very quiet about this. They do not want to tell other people that they are about to take their item and resell it for higher. The thing is, when you are honest with the people you trade, sometimes they will just be like, oh, okay, I'm not going to make the sale then. Sometimes they'll be like that. But other times, they will appreciate your honesty. It builds respect, and you can really complete trades better with it. People trust you more. And when people trust you more, you get your name out there. And that's just the power of networking in general. So honesty and his ability to network, they go hand in hand, and it's just something that I admire in Alid. And most merchants actually don't do this, and I do truly feel that merchants should begin to do this. And really, screwing people over and just greedy merchants in general, I really don't understand it. I mean, in one degree, I can kind of see where they're going with it, but in another degree, if you really just want money, get a job. That's really the only thing I can say. And also, just in lines with getting a job, I actually made this comment on Basil Market sometime earlier, and people were just, they were replying to me saying, you make it sound so easy to get a job. And the thing is, getting a job is easy if you've properly networked. And that's what this chapter is all about, networking. People say they can't get a job for whatever reason. I've been offered so many jobs in real life. Why? Because I use these skills of networking, and it's so important. So this is what we're going to talk about in this episode. Networking is the first part. The second part of the episode is investment merchanting. So let's start with networking. Now, networking in general, the basic things that you can get from it are obvious. You can make friends from it. You can get into famous guilds. You can make trades easier. People trust you more. Those are basic things. But even beyond that, in this game and just in life in general, we are social creatures. For example, we mate sexually. We are social creatures who interact with other people. Networking in the most simple level goes hand in hand with living life in society. So this is not just something that you can learn from MapleStory. These are things that you need for the rest of your life. Let's talk first about a thread that I saw on Basil Market, and it's a very interesting thread actually, and I'm pretty sure the thread was fake, but I remembered the thread for quite a long time, so even though I think it's fake, I still remember it, so it's pretty important in my opinion. Again, I'm pretty sure this is fake, so take everything I say with a grain of salt, but understand the concepts in which I'm trying to bring. Now, let's open a scenario where you're in a restaurant and you're planning on actually eating with the CEO of Nexon. So you and the CEO are face to face on a table and there's like other people there as well. So it's a social setting where everybody else is just hanging out, eating and doing whatever. The CEO is sitting there, he's on his cell phone just texting people or whatever he does, and he doesn't look like he wants to be bothered. You're sitting there, and your goal is to get the CEO to improve something in the game. For example, you want the CEO to change cubing, you want the CEO to bring super cubes back, or whatever you want. So that is your goal. How would you bring about doing it? And this is the biggest mistake that people make, and you would probably be thinking this is so common sense, but it's not actually common sense, which is why I have to bring it in this guide. The thing is, a lot of people will just go straight up to the CEO and just say, hey, I really like your MapleStory game. I like what you did with this and this and this, but can you do this? That's what a lot of people will do, and that is a huge mistake because most likely the CEO has been approached by so many people, and so many people have done the exact same thing and failed. And again, it sounds common sense, but the reason why I'm even mentioning it is because so many people mess up on this. And it's not just talking about the CEO. We just bring it to a more realistic setting. For example, you wanna get into a job, and you're in the job interview right now. Or perhaps a different example, you're in, I don't know, high school. You want to talk to this girl, and she's really cute, and you just don't know how to talk to her. Or perhaps you're in MapleStory and you want to join a big guild in MapleStory, but you don't know how to bring about joining the guild. Or perhaps, I don't know, this is an example that I don't like to use, but perhaps you want to be friends with a hacker, and this hacker can, I don't know, benefit you in some way or another, but you don't know how to bring about the conversation with this hacker. All these scenarios, whether the people that you're targeting are aware of it or not, you have to bring about the message in a different way. Otherwise, things might not work out for you. For example, if you're going up to the CEO and you want to just talk to him, and like again, on the Basil Market thread, I'm pretty sure it was fake, but basically the guy went up to the CEO and he just said he used the compliment, then after the compliment, he said, "But can you add this to MapleStory?" And basically the CEO flipped out and he was just cussing the guy out. He's like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. And he was just going crazy. So what did he mess up on? And it's a difficult question, but a lot of people don't actually understand this thing. The thing is, the reason he messed up is because he just went straight on and said what he had to say, and that's something that everybody else has done and everybody else has failed. Put yourself in the shoes of the CEO. You're in the restaurant, you're just on your cell phone texting people. The CEO is most likely trying to relax. He does not want to think about MapleStory. He doesn't want to think about anything. He just wants to relax. And you're some guy that just pops up in front of him and just says, "Hey, MapleStory, blah 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 blah." And the CEO is just like, "Oh my god, there's even people here that are trying to bother me." So that's not how you'd want to bring about it. The CEO is probably trying to relax. So the last thing you'd want to do is bring up MapleStory. How you'd want to go about talking to the CEO is you'd go up to him and you talk to him like he is a real person. That is something that people keep on missing. People keep on missing this, and I have to drill it into everybody's head right now. You talk to the CEO like he's a real person. If you're trying to get into a job interview, yes, you want to be professional, but you want to also talk to them like they're a real person. If there's a girl that you like, you don't want to just be Mr. Nice Guy and just glorify her and just totally put her on a pedestal, and then you just totally suck up to her, you totally get friend zoned and everything. I'm pretty sure everybody's been in this position before. You don't want to just put them on a pedestal. The CEO, the person that is trying to hire you, the hacker in MapleStory, the guild leader in MapleStory, that girlfriend, or whatever. You don't want to put them on a pedestal. What you want to do is you want to communicate with them and talk to them like they're a real person. Everybody makes this huge mistake. That's why the CEO shut you off. That's why the girlfriend or the girl put you in the friend zone or whatever. That's why perhaps you didn't get the job. That's why perhaps the hacker just said, haha, noob, and disconnected you. And that's why perhaps the guild leader just said, no, I don't want to invite you. You want to talk to them like they're a real person. That's a huge mistake. And again, I don't think the CEO would be such a big dick and just cuss the guy out or anything. So again, I'm pretty sure the thread is fake. So yeah, but the reason why I'm even mentioning that thread and talking to the CEO is because I feel like it has some merit in which it can actually teach people these concepts of networking. So whatever you're doing in MapleStory or in real life, networking is important. Talk to the person like they're a real person. And I guess I'll bring some personal perspective into this. I am not a leader of my guild, but people know who I am in that sense. I'm not trying to be arrogant about it, but people do know who I am. So a lot of people come up to me and ask me, can I join your guild? And although my favorite thing would be to just say yes, my issue is I can't just do that. It's my responsibility to look out for everybody else in the guild. If I invite somebody who is a scammer, perhaps, then somebody else will get hurt. I personally won't get hurt because they're not going to scam me, but somebody else is going to get hurt. It is my responsibility to make sure that doesn't happen. So, as the leader or as a recruiter in the guild, I have to be very wary of everybody who tries to join the guild, and in that sense, if you come up to me and you just say, hey, can I join your guild? Most likely the answer is no, because we have a certain recruitment process. How you want to do this is basically, if you want to join a big guild in MapleStory, put yourself in that guild leader's shoes. And just as we've done with the CEO, where he's just trying to relax, the guild leader most likely has a lot of people who keep on saying, hey, can I join your guild? And the guild leader's reply is always no. So it's always like that. So basically, you'd want to bring about it in a different way. Talk to the guild leader like he's a person. Have a conversation. That is the most important thing in networking. Treat the person like a person. Do not put them on a pedestal. Two things you don't want to do. This also applies to the girlfriend example, so keep that in mind. Two things you don't want to do. First, you do not want to be too needy. Secondly, you don't want to also be too nice. I'm pretty sure some people already understand this for the girlfriend example. If you're too nice, you're just going to get put into the friend zone and she's going to be like, oh, he's so sweet, he's my best friend. And that's not what you want, because your goal is to actually, be girlfriend and boyfriend. So that is not your goal for that. And in MapleStory, if you're just too nice to the guild leader, he's going to think, this guy's really suspicious. He's too nice to me. I think he's trying to do something bad, So it puts people on edge and it puts you in a bad position in general. So you don't want to be too needy, which means you don't want to just go up and say, hey, can you invite me to your guild? And secondly, you don't want to just give the guild leader free items and say, hey, here's some free items. Can I join the guild? Because it's also going to be a no. You want to talk to them like they're a real person. I keep on saying this because it is so important. Talk to them like they're a real person. The guild leader will get to know you. You have a conversation with him. And perhaps in the end of the conversation, or perhaps in the end of the week, you talk to them several different times. Perhaps the guild leader will ask you if you want to join the guild. And that's actually my recruitment process in general. When I get to know people and I get to talk to them like that and they've networked with me properly, I will specifically go up to them and I will say, hey, do you want to join my guild? I will actually ask them to join the guild. And that's really what you'd want. Perhaps you talk to that girl and she's starting to really like you and you get her number, you text her, you go out with her a couple times. perhaps she will ask you, hey, do you want to hang out? Perhaps she will do that to you instead. And it really puts you in such a good position. And the CEO of Nexon, you talk to him about family, perhaps you talk to him about sports, you talk to him about whatever. In the end of the conversation, when he's happy, maybe he had a little bit alcohol, he's happy and he's relaxed, perhaps you just bring about the topic slowly about the change in MapleStory that you want, and perhaps you'll get different results. Networking is a delicate subject, and let's just talk about another example. Comedians, for example. I know a lot of you guys haven't seen comedy shows, but stand-up comedians, they are masters of networking, and they are masters at delivering the message. For example, if they deliver a message about an abortion joke, about I don't know, a religion joke, a racism joke, these are three very touchy subjects. And for example, if you're in the Congress of the United States or you're in the Senate, these are touchy subjects that are, hard to deal with. But comedians, they can talk about these subjects and make you laugh about it. And it's not that you're a bad person that you laughed at an abortion joke. It's simply that the comedian is a master of delivering the message. So networking is powerful. It is the most powerful skill in MapleStory. It is the most powerful skill in real life. And it is something that if you master it now in MapleStory, like for example, you screw up in MapleStory, that's fine. In real life, it's all just trials and tribulations. You keep on trying until you get it down. And that is networking in general. That is life in general. So if you're in a job interview, same thing. Yes, you want to bring about in a professional way. You want to talk to them like they're a real person, but you also want to be professional about it. And it really puts you in a better light. People like you more, and for that reason, you might just get the job. You might be more successful. So that is networking in general, and this is something that I see in Alan. And Alan is so good at networking. Whatever he's doing, whatever situation he's in real life or in MapleStory, I have no doubt in him that he will do it well. And here's the thing, even me making videos on YouTube, this is considered networking. People see my videos, they see the subscribers, they see the feedback, they see how I reply to comments, they see all this and they see all that. That could actually impact me in networking. Perhaps somebody wants to make a trade with me, but they don't actually know who I am. They go into my YouTube channel, they see all this, they see all that, they see that people trust me, and it eases them up, and perhaps it'll make our trade easier. So even YouTubing can be considered networking. So that's networking, and I hope you got what you wanted to get out of this. Let's go on and move on to the next topic, which is investment merchanting. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about investment merchanting. And investmenting is really just an extension of chapter 3 when we talked about learning prices and flip merchanting. This is all an extension, and it's all really connected. So first of all, I want you guys to connect everything. I do not want you guys to just think, oh, investmenting and flip merchanting are different. They are different, I guess, but you can't divide them in that sense because it's hard to draw the line. And what do I mean by that? Well, let's talk about two myths about investmenting. The first myth that people think is that you need to wait a long time for your investments to take root, and that is not necessarily true. The second myth is that people think you have to invest in a huge pile of items or a huge pile of scrolls, or you have to have a huge amount of money, and both of those are not necessarily true. Now, talking about time, most investments don't actually take that long to take root. You invest in an item, as I said, the market is fast. You invest in an item, the market will grow perhaps for that item, and most likely in 2 to 3 weeks the item should have inflated. That's usually what it happens if you target a good item. Sometimes it will take a couple months, and sometimes investments do take they're situational investments. For example, you buy an item and you wait for an event to happen, and when that event happens, the item that you invested in suddenly shoots up in price. There are several different types of investments, but it all comes from good decisions, and that all comes from the beginning, which I keep saying, learning prices and understanding prices. When you come to understand these prices, you come to understand the way the market works, and you come to understand why a certain item is a good item to go after. So in a sense, as I said, it's a continuation, chapter 3 and chapter 4. So good investing really comes from learning and understanding prices, which is the beginning of everything. So again, there's one thing that I said. I said I do not want you guys to divide investmenting and flip merchanting. In a sense, you can say they are divided. For example, you can say you buy an item for cheap, you resell it for higher. That takes like 2 days. And another example, you can say I buy a pile of scrolls for X amount of money, and you wait 3 weeks and you resell the pile of scrolls for X amount of money. So you can say that, and you can divide them both, but then when you get into actual real scenarios, you realize it's hard to make the division between what is an investment and what is a flip. For example, let's give an example. For example, I buy a perfected Fafnir knuckle, and the knuckle I bought it for 5 bill, and I'm trying to resell it for 7, but it doesn't sell at all. And then suddenly a month later, Yunwa comes out, and Yunwa just so happens to use Knuckles, and all of a sudden the price of Knuckles skyrockets. And the price of the Knuckle, you paid 5 bill for it. You couldn't resell it for 7 simply because it wouldn't resell because it was a flip. You tried to flip it. All of a sudden, it became an investment. You waited a month, the price of the Knuckle doubled in price, and then you resold it. So you can divide flip merchanting and investment merchanting. You can go ahead and divide it, but in reality, if you want to be a well-rounded merchant, you have to understand that it can go either way sometimes, and it makes you more flexible if you can understand that. So there's actually not much that I can say about investmenting. I wish I could talk more about it, but it's just such a it's such an intuitional topic, and the only way you can really learn is go and do it for yourself and go and understand it, because I really can't put my intuition in a video. It doesn't I really can't do that, so I have to apologize for that. But investmenting is an extension of flip merchanting, which is an extension of learning and understanding prices. You understand the prices, you understand how the market works, how prices shift, and you take that and it extends to where you understand how prices perhaps can shift in 1 month time, in 2 months time, and you can kind of predict things. And again, the main determinant of prices are hackers, which are pretty unreliable, but the other determinant of prices are Nexon themselves, and you can figure that out by looking at KMS, looking at the new updates that KMS has, looking at the updates that GMS has, reading the patch notes, going on official forums, and going on Basil Market perhaps. You can get some good information from Basil Market. And as I said, the other determinant of prices are hackers, which are unreliable. We just talked about networking, and with networking you can go ahead and perhaps come in contact with some hackers who could give you some inside information about the dupes that are coming out. So for example, you're trying to invest in a certain item, the hacker can say like, oh, don't invest in that item, we are about to duplicate it. So if you invest in that item and the hacker duplicates it, all of a sudden your investment went to 0 and you lose a lot of money. So that hacker could really give you a warning. So all of these things put together, although hackers are unpredictable, you can really get some inside information. So this guide connects itself to each other. So don't separate everything, put everything together. That is what merchanting is. That's why it's taken me so long to really make this guide, because it's so hard for me to divide these things into chapters and divide these things into separate videos. Initially, I did want to make this guide like one whole video, but then I realized no one's going to watch a 5-hour video. That would be ridiculous, and the attention span is not that long for humans anyways. So if somebody did go ahead and try to sit through all this, they wouldn't actually retain all the information. So that's why I separated it into different chapters. But I hope you guys can understand, investmenting is simply an extension from flip merchanting. So there's not much else I can say to it except go out and try it. And as you do more flipping and more flipping and more flipping of buying low and selling high, you begin to really get a feel for buying an item and holding on to it and seeing how the price changes and reselling it for higher perhaps. So the only thing that I can tell you, 2 myths. First one, it doesn't actually take that long sometimes. Most times it actually doesn't take that long for your items to take root. But secondly, the other myth is, first of all, you don't actually have to invest in a pile of scrolls or a pile of nebulites. You can invest in equipment, for example, Gullex pendants, for example, Fafnir claws, Fafnir knuckles, and all these other kinds of things. For example, if you see the Nightwalker revamp, the Nightwalker has a lot of hype, and he's very overpowered. Perhaps you can buy some cheap claws, hold on to the claws, and when the Nightwalker comes out, you can resell the claws for extra high and you can make money. New classes and new events, that's how the prices fluctuate, and with an understanding of the market in that sense, you can become successful in investmenting as well. So I hope you guys found this guide useful. We're going to go ahead and get a little quick chapter recap so you guys can get all the information and hammer it in. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Okay, so chapter recap. There's no need for the slideshow because this is pretty easily organized information. Let's begin with networking. So with networking, the key to everything is to actually talk and communicate with people. And it's difficult sometimes. It's human nature. We organize people by titles and established positions, and when talking to somebody with a higher position or someone that you believe is better than you, it is sometimes difficult. When you're talking to that girl that you really like, it's sometimes difficult. And I know a lot of you guys face this problem where you can talk to any girl except that one girl that you really like. So it's the same thing. When you're talking to the leader of a guild, don't put him on a pedestal. When you're talking to the CEO of a company, don't put him on a pedestal. Talk to them like they're real people, and they in turn will believe that you're a down-to-earth person, that you're genuine, and they will like you more. And whatever you're trying to do, whatever goal you're trying to achieve with them, you can more easily achieve it. That's the key to networking, actual communication. Now, let's talk again about investment merchanting. And I didn't talk too much about it, but let's go ahead and highlight what I said about it. Investment merchanting, there's not much I can actually tell you. It's all intuition and experience. There's two things I can tell you though that'll wipe out two myths. The first one being time. Investmenting does take time sometimes, but in reality, if you do an informed investment and you do it well, it doesn't actually take that long. It depends on your knowledge of the game. The more knowledge of the game you have, the better investments you can make and the less time it'll take. Again, just with episode 3, we talked about dictating prices, and there's the golden ratio between time and profit. Investmenting is an extension of this, where you go ahead and look at that golden ratio and you find how much time you want to spend and how much profit you want to make. You target the correct item, you get the investment. Sometimes it'll take 2 months, sometimes it'll take 2 days. So that's the first myth of investmenting. The second myth is money. Money and how many items you have to buy. A lot of people think that you have to buy a huge amount of scrolls or nebulites and you have to have a lot of money to do this. You do not have to have that much money. With a couple billion mesos you can do it. And I know some people who are listening to this guide, they're like, a couple billion is a lot. You can make a couple billion, not that difficult. You can make a couple billion just by using the methods in episode 2 of the merch guide. So if you haven't got your money yet, go ahead, go back to episode 2, review some of those methods, and go ahead and try to make some starting money. With investmenting, you don't have to have a huge pile of money, and you don't have to invest in a huge pile of items. Even investing in one godly equip is considered investmenting. Finally, one last thing I want to cover is investmenting and flipping. I said they were an extension of each other, and that basically means you cannot separate them. In one way, you can look at them and think, okay, these are pretty separate, but another way, when you actually do it, you realize that you can't really separate them because it could go either way sometimes. So be as liquid as possible, try to understand that, don't just immediately separate them and put an iron wall between them. Try to always keep an open mind, and that'll make you more versatile merchants. So I'm going to close this guide with what I say in every other guide. Basically, merchants are leaders. You have to find your own way. You have to do things yourself. It is good to watch this guide. It is good to have friends to lean on. But in the end, through all those things, you have to be self-reliant, because in the end, nobody else is doing it except you. So I hope you guys got what you wanted out of this guide. It took me a long time to make. It was like 12 hours. So yeah, I will see you guys later.